Hi, welcome to the Pearls and Polish podcast, episode 33. I'm your host, Rachel. I'm coming to you from just outside Sacramento, California. You can find me on Instagram, Ravelry, and then any of the makers or designers or dyers or anyone I mention in today's episode are going to be in the description below, so you can find links to those if you need them. So, welcome to episode 33. This is the first episode of 2024. This is also the third year that we have the podcast. So if you are new, welcome. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. We have so much to go over. I'm so excited to just start the year off right with a new episode and show you everything that's been going on for the last month and a half. So first off, I got pretty sick over Christmas. I had a cold that turned into an ear infection. I still have this lingering cough. So if today's episode is a little bit jumpy, I apologize in advance. You guys don't want to hear me cough. So there's that. But it's been a hot minute since we've had an episode. So if you watch regularly, our last episode, 32, was in November. And then we had an unboxing video. And then we had a Vlogmas. And then last week's video was the setting up of my planner. So we have a lot to go over. Okay, sorry, I had to pause and put a cough drop in my mouth, or I'm gonna keep coughing. It's gonna be great, it's gonna be fine. But like I said, we have a lot to go over. Starting with lots of socks that I finished since episode 32. So I have talked about these, or a good portion of these, in past episodes. So I'll give you a short rundown. Like I said, links will be all down below. Definitely check out at least episode 32 for some more information on some of these socks. So starting off with my November socks for Yarn Club for the Gods. So that is a collection done by Coley of Pasley Knits. She put it out in 2022. I saved the entire collection and did it all for 2023. So this is November. This pattern was, I want to say it's Stack of Books. It's one of the patterns by Sock Witchery. Lovely pattern, came out beautiful. There's enough color variation where I didn't want something too busy as far as a pattern. So this broken rib was perfect for it. So in this Yarn Club for the Gods collection, Coley actually put out 3 extra colorways. So they were Hephaestus, Hades, and Persephone. So I did the Hephaestus colorway a couple months ago. So I still had 2 left. So these are my Hades socks. These are a little shorter. I just felt like a little shorter sock this time. This pattern is by Summer Late. I cannot remember the name of the pattern, but like I said, it'll be in the description below. I did add a little mini heel gusset, and I did a short row heel. I just wanted to try something different, so I did. Lovely pattern, would definitely do again. This particular pattern was written intentionally to be a slouchy sock. That wasn't something I was all that interested for this pair, mostly because I was on a deadline. So I didn't want to be knitting, inches and inches of sock. So I will definitely do the pattern again, and probably will do it as it's written. But I just took all the numbers and I translated it to how I normally knit my socks and came up with these. I also intentionally did the leg a lot shorter than it was written. All right, next up were my December socks. So these are the Pine Bough socks by Lindsey Fowler. And you guys know, I love Lindsey Fowler's work. I'm in her test group, so she sent out a message saying she had a test knit for Christmas and if anyone's interested. So I actually started my December socks in November because I was part of the test group. The colorway is called Artemis, and I just love these greens. I think this pattern works really well for this colorway because it lets the greens kind of show through. So you have patches of dark, patches of white, different shades, and you still have interesting things to knit. It's not just a vanilla sock. So you do have this kind of broken rib with like the stripes on the cuff. You have that same thing across the heel. It's a heel flap and gusset. And then you do have the option of doing it across the instep. So I have not done like a pattern over the instep before. I've done it for some samples that I've had to send back to like yarn dyers, but not for myself. So I was really excited to do this pattern. The pattern is out. It's out on Ravelry and I believe on Lindsey's website. Like I said, links will be down below. It's so wonderfully written. So definitely suggest this one. Next up, we hit Vlogmas. And we'll talk about Vlogmas in a little bit. But I knit 3 pairs of socks in 25 days. It was just enough to where I felt like busy and accomplished, but it wasn't too much where I felt overwhelmed. So in years past, I've gotten like full advent kits and tried to do like a full project in 25 days and got overwhelmed and just did not accomplish, and I had to start over. I felt like I was behind. And I didn't want to do that this year. I wanted to like relax during my Christmas break instead of like stress. So instead I only did advent socks. I did get a 12-day advent, which I have not cast on yet. And then I did get like a winter box, which I have not cast on yet either. But this was like the perfect choice for advent this year. So I did 3 different pairs. So I did the Cozy Knitter, which are these. And this year I also did something different. I did alternating ends of the skein. So if you've never done an advent, like socks, typically the yarn dyer will do self-striping sock yarn. So you get 1 stripe a day and you have 25 different colors. And then it repeats again. So I split all of mine in half. So I only did 50 grams. I gave the other 50 grams to my mom, and one of them I gave to a friend. And I'll talk about that in a minute. So then I was only working from one of 50 grams skein. So other years I have like found the middle and cut in the middle and worked so that they were exactly matching. This year I did opposites. So I did these toe up because I wanted to make sure I had enough yarn. So this is Cozy Knitter, and so day 1 was the brown, and it went all the way up to day 24, 25, which was the red. The other sock I did backwards. So I did day 25 at the bottom, and I worked to day 24 because the yarn was attached here in the middle. And that way I knew I could have exactly the same row count for everything, and they would look beautiful. So I have yet to block these. I only have 2 sock blockers, and I like to block my socks first. So none of my advent socks have been blocked yet, but really happy with how this turned out. This kind of fade is different for the Cozy Knitter. She hasn't done it like this before. I kind of liked it. Love her yarn, love her dyeing style. Okay, so the next advent I did was by Freckled Whimsy, and I hadn't heard about Freckled Whimsy until I saw her work on Instagram and some others who had done her colorway last year. So I definitely wanted to do it this year. So I am so glad I did because she has the most amazing colors. I'm trying to remember which was the first day. It doesn't matter. So there's the socks, and I think those turned out just beautiful. So yeah, I just really enjoyed her colorway. The yarn was lovely. She actually had more than 25 colors. So I think it ended up being like 54, 56 colors, or stripes rather, total. So it was nice to feel like I had enough to do a whole project. So these ended up being like full length socks for me. So did those, love those. The last pair I did was from Woolens and Nosh, and I had done Woolens and Nosh last year. This base was a little different because it's Targy. The other 2 are Merino. So it's a little thicker, a little airier, but still wonderful. So those are here. She does something different where she has a gray stripe between each day's color. And the idea is you knit until you get to the gray stripe, and then you stop so you don't ruin the surprise for the next day. I really like the idea of it, but as far as like execution, I don't know if I would do this again if she continues to do the gray stripe. Like I said, I love the idea. I think it's great. However, there are areas where the gray stripes overlap, and I feel like that breaks out the color a little bit because everyone's gauge is going to be a little bit different. So I think just stylistically, I prefer when there isn't like a breaking stripe between colors. And that way you can't really tell where one color starts and one color ends. However, she has beautiful work. She doesn't do the gray stripe for all of her colorways. So if you want to check out her stuff, it'll be great. I'm definitely going to buy some more stuff from her as stuff comes out. So definitely enjoyed those. Now, how did I knit 3 pairs of socks in 25 days? I'll tell you how. So for my first sock, I did like 1 stripe a day, and that was for 3 socks. For the second sock, since I didn't show that because I was working backwards, I didn't want to ruin the color surprise for anyone. So in those ones, I worked ahead, and that way I had most of the foot done for the second sock for 3 colorways done by day like 10, so that I didn't have to stress about it. I knew exactly where I was going to place my heel, and that way I could kind of know how far I needed to go on my like daily sock, so I would have matching socks. So there was that. Like I said, really great life choice. I'm glad I did it. Now we come up to the last 2 pairs of socks for the year. So I talked about having to split or choosing to split my Advent yarns with my mom and then a friend. So my friend Amy from Amy's Knotted Knits, she was not able to get the Woolens and Nosh colorway. She had tried to get it at one of the yarn festivals back east and they had all sold out. So I let her know I had it and that I would be happy to send her half of it. So we ended up doing this yarn swap. And she sent me these 2 like 50-gram skeins of yarn. So I saved those for like Christmas Day cast on. And I will show you these socks. So these are the socks I did with the yarn that Amy sent me. So these are also done toe up, and you'll notice the heel is a little different. This is called a Fleckled heel. So you do increases across the back, and then you do some short rows to create the back of the heel, and then you keep going. So this pattern is called Grello Love, and I've done it a couple times, and every time I do it, I forget that the pattern isn't super clear on the heel construction. There are other were, actually, no, those were my last pair of socks of the year. This is my other pair. This is the last extra colorway for Yarn Club for the Gods. I wasn't sure if I was going to make it in knitting all 15 colorways by the end of December, but I did. This is Persephone. And originally I had thought I was gonna do the Hermione's Everyday sock pattern because that was the last sock pattern I did in 22. I thought that'd be great, like continuity, it'll be circular, whatever. And I started knitting it and realized the pattern is just getting lost because this yarn is just so busy. There's white, there's red, and then there's just variations of red. So you got some pinks, some darkers, some lighter. So this is not a sock that a pattern would work well with, in my opinion. So I went with a rib sock because you can't go wrong with a rib sock. I worked on this while my kids were sick. So we did a lot of just resting and snuggling and watching a lot of TV. So these actually went by quite quickly. And those were my last pair of socks. So that was the end of my year. Let's chat about Vlogmas really quick. This was the first time I did Vlogmas. I've seen it in past years of different knitters and crafters who do Vlogmas. I've seen it done a couple different ways. And so for my first time doing Vlogmas, I thought I would just do like a traditional 1 video a day. So I filmed on the first, and then I posted the video on the second. So I'd like edit at night and then I posted the second. Some of the aspects that I did, like the unboxing of some of the advents and swaps I did, I recorded ahead of time. So I just had to insert the video footage, which I felt like was a good idea on my part because I did not have to stress about, did I open it? Do I have enough lighting? Do I have, whatever. So I would definitely do that again, is open anything I need to open ahead of time so I just can insert footage. I struggled with like recording daily. As you guys know, I work with kids, so I can't record a lot of what my job is because I work with kids and I don't have permission to put their faces on the internet, nor would I be interested in doing that. So a lot of my day-to-day stuff I couldn't post because it was of either my kids or other people's kids. So there was the first challenge. The second challenge is we all got pretty sick. So my voice was shot. Or I was snuffling and like stuffy, and so like no one wants to watch that. So as much as I enjoy doing Vlogmas, I think for 2024, I'm gonna do it a little different. I think I would rather do like 1 video a week and just kind of throw snippets together. That way it's slightly longer. That was the other issue I had. By the time I would like condense everything down and edit, I'd have like a 5-minute video or a 3-minute video. So then feel like a whole ton of payoff for all the work I was putting into it. So yeah, so for 2024, I think I will do a week-long video and just post 4 videos a week, but that's quite a bit away. So we'll see when we actually get to December. All right, my end of the year stats. You guys have seen a lot of projects in the last year. So I went through my Ravelry account and went through everything that I finished in 2023. So my totals are socks, 44 pairs of socks, 4 items that were like neck. So I did a couple cowls and I did a couple shawls. I did 2 hats. I did 1 sweater with a total of 51 projects. That's a lot of projects. I try and set a goal every year as far as like how many projects do I want to do. And I think I put in like 40. But 51 was a lot more than I thought I did. But at the same time, I'm not surprised since I knit a lot of socks this year. All right, so let's go into like our normal stuff. What do we normally talk about? We normally talk about finished objects, which we did. There was a lot of them. We talk about whips. So let me show you the 2 projects that I'm currently working on. So the first one I'm going to show you, I can only show you the yarn. A couple months ago, I got accepted into a super secret test knit for a long-term project. So I'm test knitting several different items for this project. However, I can't talk about it yet because the publisher has not put anything out. So I can only show you the yarn that I'm using, and that's about it. So I call these like my Fight Club projects or my Secret Squirrel projects because the first rule about Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club. But I will show you the yarn that I'm using. So this is, I don't even know how to pronounce it. It's in French. I think it's Biches and Bouches. Anyways, it's Le Gras lamb wool. And this is an Aran weight. It's made in the UK. It's 100 grams, 192 meters, 210 yards, and it's woolen spun. So it's really thick and squishy, but it still has kind of that hand spun feel because some parts of it are slightly thicker than others. So I do enjoy that. This is the colorway dark blue turquoise. So I got this from Shop La Messerie. I ordered it from them, came by super quickly. That's all I can say. I will say that this item is knitting up very quickly. I think this is going to be a really great item to wear when it's cold out. You're definitely going to be very warm. So as soon as I can tell you what I'm working on, I will show you all the pictures and everything, and I'll give all the details. But that's the first project I'm working on. The second project I'm working on are my New Year socks. So I did the Winter Wishes sock swap, also hosted by Jess of Witchery. And I've done that for like 4 years. Really enjoy doing it. So this year I got paired up with Rachel of Ferris Fiber Arts. I think it's Ferris Fiber Arts. I'll link her down below. Anyways, she's based in Colorado. Lovely person. Really had a good time getting to know her. And she sent me the most beautiful yarn. It is by a yarn dyer that's new to me. They're called Pearls and Postulates. And they do a lot of colorways based off of women in STEM jobs. So this one is called Mechanical Engineer, and it's based off of a woman named Yasmin, who is a mechanical engineer. And so this colorway was purchased at Flock last year, and I just really love this color. So I will show you my socks. I love this bright pink. This hot pink is not a color I would normally like pick, but it works so beautifully in the socks. It came as a set. And I just love these little pops of pink through it. I think they're so fun. So I'm doing a rib sock. It's a knit 3 purl 1 rib. Again, this yarn colorway is a little busy, so any sort of pattern I feel would get kind of lost. But I still wanted some sort of pattern, so always a rib sock. So yeah, this is the first sock of the year, and it's going really well. So that should be done. I'll probably have the like sock itself done in a couple days. Now that we're like ending our holiday, we're getting into like school and stuff like that, I'm remembering like how much time I actually have during the day to do stuff, because I accomplished a lot during the break, but I need to be like, oh, realistic expectations, want to actually be able to work on stuff. So that's taking a little bit of adjustment on my end, but still having a lot of fun with those. So I went back into my 2023 video, the first video of the year. I don't even know what episode it was. But I watched it and I looked at the 3 goals I set for the year as far as like the podcast and my crafting. So the 3 goals I had set were Year of Socks by Pasley Knits, no buy for a year, and work on a knitting bullet journal. The first goal, the Yarn Code for the Gods by Pasley Knits, I accomplished. I did 15 pairs of socks in 12 months. Yay. The second one, the no buy for a year, I did really well until about September. And then I started buying things. So now I have more things than what I started with, and I need to work stuff down. Failed on that one. And then my bullet journal. I am not an artist, like pen and paper drawing, fancy handwriting artist. I am a fiber artist. So starting a bullet journal and setting an expectation for myself of I'm gonna have fancy pages and journal about the project and the yarn and what I thought about it and color code, that was not realistic for me, because I would finish projects and then I would like mark out the pages for what I would need to write down, and then I wouldn't write things down. I also tried tracking a lot of different things in that book that were just not workable. And I also set a lot of goals in that book that were not workable either. So out of the 3, I only accomplished 1. So we're going into 2024 with some better goals. Mostly and I'll talk about this a lot in the planner setup video I did that is up, that you can check out. But I realized that setting like year-long goals are not really workable for me. I need shorter time frames so that I actually get stuff done. So I set a couple goals. The first one is I'm gonna work down my stash. Specifically, I want to finish the year having less than what I started the year with. So yes, that is gonna be a bit of a challenge. And if I don't even know how many skeins, I still have to count them. But if I start the year with 91 skeins and I finish the year with 89 skeins, that's a win for me because I finished the year with less than what I started with. So making that super flexible. The next one is to just knit and be happy. I have done Year of Socks 2 years in a row, and I've really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed that time frame. I have 30 to 31 days, 28 if it's February, to knit a pair of socks. And a lot of times I would get that done in the earlier half of the month. Some months I got done, closer to the 30th, but it was just a really great challenge the first year. And then it was a great secondary challenge the second year in that I already know I can do this and now I'm gonna do it again. The problem with that for me was that it limited what I could work on from my own stash. Because the first year it was a different yarn dyer every month. It was through La Messerie, which was great because I got to learn about a whole bunch of new dyers that I hadn't heard about before. The second year it was specific to one dyer, but I have all these other sock yarns that I didn't work with because I was doing my yarn club for the gods. The only exception of that was summer sock camp when I got a lot of socks done. I accomplished all but one, I think, of the yarns that I wanted to do, but it was just very limiting as far as I can't really work on anything else because I have Year of Socks. So this year I'm just going to knit. I'm gonna use what I have. I'm gonna try and prioritize stuff I already have versus new stuff that comes in. But if I want to knit a sweater, I'm going to knit a sweater. And if I want to do a shawl, I'm going to do a shawl. And if I don't want to do a pair of socks for a month, I'm not going to do a pair of socks for a month. That's going to be very unlikely, but this year I felt like I needed just a little more freedom as far as my projects. So I did set Q1 goals. I'm trying to narrow down the time frame of what I'm gonna do and when I'm gonna do it. So Q1 goals are gonna be finish the forgotten projects. I have, I think 6 projects that just kind of got put to the side and never finished. So I'm gonna prioritize finishing those. I doubt I will finish all of them in 3 months, but I wanna at least start working on them. Next is I'm gonna roll for new projects. I wrote down all of my stash in my planner. It's right here. And part of what kind of makes it fun for me is turning things into a game. So I have some really fancy dice and I'm gonna just roll for a number, and whatever number ends up being, that's what I'm gonna cast on. And that way it also gets me working on different things. I have all mixed up all my sock yarn, my sweater yarn, my sets, and I'm just gonna knit. And then I'm gonna do Scrappy Sunday. I wanted to do Scrappy Sunday for a long time. That was a term coined by Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady, but basically she works on her scrappy blankets or her scrappy socks on Sundays. And I've wanted to do that for a while, but I couldn't because of my Year of Socks. So this year I'm gonna prioritize Scrappy Sunday. I'm gonna work on a scrappy project. I have a blanket planned. I have a whole bunch of minis and leftovers that I wanna put into a blanket. And so I'm gonna prioritize that and do that this year. And then I'm not doing Year of Socks. Now, am I hating on Year of Socks? Absolutely not. I love Year of Socks. I will definitely do it again. I have seen other knitters who do Year of Socks based on their own stash, where they pick 12 colors and they either wrap them or they just put them aside and knit from that. And I think that's a great idea. But I needed a break this year. So I will definitely do Year of Socks again. I'll probably do it a little different than I have in the last 2 years, but that's where we're at. So last thing to show you is my Row 1 minis. So Row 1 is a subscription service where once a month they send you 10 10-gram minis. And so it all equates to about 1 skein of sock yarn. It's fingering weight, and you get a new dyer every month. So it comes in this cute little bag, and they're all in here. It's gonna crinkle a little bit. I apologize in advance. I already opened it because I really wanted to see who was the dyer. But I wanted to show you guys what was on here. So first you have the yarn, which I'll show you in a minute. And then you have this really, never mind. This really cute little bag. This is probably why I couldn't open it. I could not get this bag open because I opened it from the bottom. But you get a piece of candy. So I have some little Hershey's. And then in the bag, you get a little stitch marker. So this has a 2024 stitch marker. I got a sticker. It says Row 1 with their logo. And then you get like a little letter from Row 1 talking about, New Year, whatnot. And it tells you about who the yarn dyer is and all the colorways they did. So if you want to buy a full skein or multiple skeins of one of these colorways, you could go to the yarn dyer and know exactly what you're looking for. So this month's colors are from Yarnaceous Fibers. I love No Yarnaceous. I did an advent from them last year. So excited to see their yarn in my little bag, just because it was like familiar and nice. So I will show you what this looks like. Sorry, more crinkling, but it's got all these little minis. There's 10 of them. Crinkle. And they come labeled. So it labels who the yarn dyer is and the yarn color. And I believe it's like already wound up as a center pull ball. So you just pull it and go. You don't have to wind it yourself, which I think is brilliant. So I'm really excited. I'm gonna be using this in my Scrappy Sunday. I'm excited to have like just a taste, a sampling of new yarn dyers without actually like going to buy yarn. So these are just some wonderful colors. You got speckles, you've got solids, you got some variegated, and I think these are gonna be really fun. So I'm excited to share these with you over the next year. So that is what I've got for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining me. I know the light was playing tricky things. You're probably wondering about our Christmas tree. We leave our Christmas decorations up until after January 6th. My family celebrates Epiphany Day or Three Kings Day. And so decorations don't come down until after January 6th. So by Sunday, everything will be put away and we'll be like officially done with the holidays, but we got a couple more days. So thank you so much for joining me. I will see you next Friday or Saturday, depending on when videos get out, but I will see you next week for another episode, and have a